Yeah.
David, I haven't done enough research, and I'll admit it readily that I don't know whether that's accurate, but I'm happy for the purpose of this discussion.
What's going on, you guys? Today we have David Pakman enlightening Triggernometry. These guys are learning something new about the truth. David Pakman is really helping them see the truth. They're believing Twitter videos, two-second Twitter videos about Joe Biden looking crazy. They're believing that the rhetoric is all coming from the left, that the left is so divisive, same old, the same crap. David Pakman is here to let them know the truth. You guys tune in.
I don't know where I would identify myself now, but this is my opinion. I think a lot of populism was created by the left, by the more progressive elements of left-wing politics and politicians, essentially turning their back on working class people and not representing them. Certainly in my own country, in the UK, with the Labour Party.
So I completely disagree with that analysis as applied to the United States. But the problem I have with populism is that populism fundamentally is rhetoric more than it is policy. And so when I talk about social democracy, without explaining policy, there's a pretty well-established set of policies that go along with that, some of which I might agree with and some of which I might disagree with, and what works in Sweden may not work in Denmark or might work in the United States, or it might not. The pernicious part for me about populism is that it's fundamentally a rhetoric, and rhetoric, particularly in a country with such educational problems as the United States, such lack of media literacy and critical thinking, can be used by bad actors to convince people to support really bad candidates. Trump used a version of populist rhetoric. He was, China's screwing us, the working class, I'm going to fix it, etc. The problem with populist rhetoric, absent a really clear vision of policy, is that you put in someone into power based on their rhetoric, and all of a sudden the solutions they propose are wacky. Like, for example, Tucker Carlson is a propagandist on Fox News who uses populist rhetoric. But all of a sudden, when you say, well, what's a solution? Well, you've got to prevent Antifa from taking your house, or brown people from Mexico are taking your job and we've got to stop that. So a lot of the same rhetoric we hear from the left and right that sounds populist is used in different ways. And so for me, I take more of a policy-oriented approach of social democracy, and I'm not big on populist rhetoric myself.
Okay, well, before I come to the cultural stuff and maybe the immigration point.
So yeah, right here, exactly what I'm saying. The only ones that care about the rhetoric, the only ones who have been weaponizing and using the rhetoric against people has been the right. Since the Ronald Reagan era, since they've realized that they can get the ones in the middle to care about these policies in a protective, conservative sort of way. Again, it's the feeling like there's never enough, feeling like we don't have to care. We only have to care about ourselves and the ones that are closest to us, not anyone for the greater good. I mean, the ones that are closest to us, that basically just means caring for ourselves. The right rhetoric is the only ones, they're the only ones that really care about the rhetoric. The left is sort of caring about policy, wanting to bring this policy in action, and they even could do a better job at getting the rhetoric to go on, because we see that the right are the ones that are weaponizing the rhetoric against us. Let's keep on watching.
Point you make as well. You mentioned that you thought that Joe Biden was the better option at the last election.
Yeah.
What have you liked about the Biden administration, and are you still of the view that that was the right choice in terms of voting for Biden?
From the two options, it was the right choice. I mean, to speak candidly with you, gentlemen, Donald Trump was a humiliating embarrassment. I mean, just the promises he made, none of them were kept. You know, he was going to build a wall. He didn't build it. He was going to solve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Jared actually was going to solve it, his son-in-law. As you know, it hasn't been solved. He was.
I mean, there was a lot of progress on that. Would you concede that?
I don't. Well, what progress was there?
The Israeli foreign minister turning up in Saudi Arabia. I mean, all of that stuff and better relations between the countries in the region. Did you not feel that that was some progress?
What changed materially, though?
Look, maybe let's not spend too much time on it. So you don't think you made any progress?
Let me put it this way: did anything change materially?
I think it's quite a difficult situation to change materially in the course of a 4-year presidency. But
So it didn't. That's fair. Okay, we agree. It didn't change materially. They did do some optics things. There was a flight like from Tel Aviv to UAE, but I think we're on the same page. We can't. Neither one of us can identify anything that changed materially. Is that fair?
What I would say is I think some progress was made in a very difficult situation. I don't claim that the situation became dramatically different and we are now like way towards a solution. And also, I think I'd also concede that it's not an issue I know enough about to have a proper discussion with you as well.
That's fair. We can table it on that basis. No, listen, I mean, as far as Joe Biden's not exciting to me. I'm a progressive social democrat, so Joe Biden's not exciting.
So I just want to bring up the fact that you had Oi bruv was not talking about anything special. Oi bruv did not know what the fuck he was saying, bruv. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck was he saying? He was wanting to talk about the Middle East, and he was wanting to say, oh, well, he did do a lot. Did he? Let's talk about it. Oh, I don't know enough about that subject to talk about it. Okay, well, then what the hell were you talking about? Are we going to just act like you didn't? Are we going to act like you didn't just pull that out of your butt? Like you're not getting fooled by all of these different, like what David Pakman is saying, optics. The trigonometry guys probably could use a little bit more caffeine in their tea. I know they like that decaffeinated tea in the morning. They like to put some milk in that tea. That trigonometry people, they should probably learn what the heck is going on and learn how America is a complete psyop. As far as I'm about to get, almost a little bit conspiracy theory right here, but it's just as far as the right wants to make it look like they're doing a lot of stuff. There is a lot of great things, and for sure that's great, but David Pakman is calling out that, Trump said that he was going to fix the Middle East and he was going to make it better than ever. Of course, we're going to make it the most peaceful ever, and that Jared would fix everything. And, we have David Pakman right here calling that out, that nothing changed materially. And, the trigonometry guy wants to change the subject now. So let's keep on going.
Exciting. He did some good things. So he did a third COVID stimulus at a time that I think it was necessary, extended a pause on student loans, got a pretty good infrastructure bill passed, got us out of Afghanistan, which I think was a great thing. I think that was a quagmire.
Do you?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I mean, we were there 21 years.
No, I agree with you with the quagmire point, but did you feel that the way that was done went well?
I think it went as well as it would have gone no matter who did it.
Wow.
Interesting.
I mean, when Trump was asked, what would you have done differently? And he literally couldn't articulate a single difference. So at least Trump was going to do it. And another failed promise. Biden did it. And when Trump was given the opportunity to articulate how he would have handled it differently, he couldn't name a single difference. So let me put it in the most factual way possible. I've not heard Trump explain what would have gone differently, and therefore I have no basis on which to assume it would have. Is that fair?
I suppose it is. The question for me is, I mean, I struggle to imagine it going any worse. So I kind of feel like there is a possibility that the preparations could have gone better. Do you think that's unfair?
I have a struggle to imagine it could have gone better. So like, I think where I land is it went the way I expected, and it was correct ultimately to get out.
Okay. Please carry on. I interrupted you.
Biden.
We're talking about whether you're happy with the Biden presidency.
Yeah,
basically.
I mean, it's like, listen, he's doing exactly what I expected. I didn't expect him to do anything on cannabis decriminalization, and he's not. And I didn't expect any, at least in the first 2 years, immigration reform, and we're not getting it. So, I try not to become jaded or cynical, but basically I've seen from Biden exactly what I expected.
Okay. You mentioned Trump being a humiliation, and look,
and what he's saying here is great because it's along the lines of, like, you're right. David Pakman is right. He didn't promise anything spectacular. It was more or less a breath of fresh air from Trump, from these ideologies that are going to be rampant now in the next 4 years, where it's the misogyny, the racism. It's good to get a little bit of, a break from that in the culture, and we can just sort of see the trigonometry guys almost agreeing with David Pakman right here. So let's keep on going.
Neither Francis or I were pro-Trump. I
That's
thought
good.
I thought he raised some important issues, by the way. And immigration not being least of those. We can have a conversation about that maybe later on. But if Trump was a humiliation, perhaps in the way that he talked, and you mentioned some of the promises that he didn't deliver on, the optics of the Biden presidency, do they not make you cringe somewhat when he's shaking hands in midair with people who aren't there and forgetting things and all of that?
Beautiful. So are you guys open to a good faith conversation about that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go piece by piece. Does Joe Biden sometimes lose his train of thought? Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no question about it. And he's close to 80 years old. If you compare Joe Biden today to Joe Biden when he ran circles around Paul Ryan in 2012, it's not the same guy. I have no problem saying that that's absolutely the case. No argument whatsoever.
He's wearing a mask. It's a fake Biden. It's a... These people are funny with their conspiracies. He's old. He's different. You change whenever you get old.
The shaking hands with midair video was a total joke. And I'll tell you the story about it. The weekend that story, the shaking hands with midair went, I looked at the clip on my phone, and it was a very short clip where you just see Biden stop speaking. He turns to the side and he goes like this. I said, oh my goodness, this is terrible. Biden, he seems worse than Trump when Trump came off of his plane and his car was right in front of him, and Trump wandered off and was brought back by the arm by a Secret Service agent, and they said, here's your car. That's worse than when Trump had Rudy Giuliani sitting right across the table and said, where's Rudy?
And maybe I'll ask Rudy to say a few words.
Well, thank you very, very much, Mr. President. First of all, congratulations on what is in fact a historic start of an administration. I've never seen so much done in so short a period of time.
That Biden clip looked bad. And I was going to report, like, guys, something seems wrong with Joe Biden. And then I found the actual full frame instead of the square Twitter video. And you could see what happened after. And Joe Biden had people to his right and to his back right and to his back. And he literally finished the speech and turned and said something to the people to the right. And then he turns back and he does the exact same thing. And then to the other side and does the exact same thing. So that was a non-story for me. It was a complete non-story.
I hear you.
Yeah,
David, I haven't done enough research, and I'll admit it readily that I don't know whether that's accurate, but I'm happy for the purpose of this discussion to accept that.
Fair.
So there you have it, you guys. We have David Pakman destroying Triggernometry, enlightening them, basically bringing them over to the good side, bringing them over from all of the corruption and all the lies that they're being spewed and being, that they're being told on a day-to-day basis. And, you can't blame them. Triggernometry, I can only assume they're not from America, so they're hearing all of these different things from let me name drop Sky News Australia, from all these different foreign countries that just want to be in the loop and want to hit headlines with making Joe Biden look bad and everything. And of course, David Pakman, as always, is tuned into the truth and letting them know exactly what's going on. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. And yep, it's another day in the progressive way.